Hey, everybody. Our Raptors are back.
The
Welcome to the
back,
wrap up.
baby.
If you haven't been here before, this is the official Raptors Republic Live post game show where we recap, we dissect, and we have some fun. We got the three hosts here for you tonight. I'm back. It's good to be back. I picked a good game to be back. Oren Weisfeld is here as well as Aiden Moss. Boys, the Raptors defeated the New York Knicks 113 to 104 in Madison Square Garden, might I add, bringing their record to 5-3 on the season. Woo! That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Damn, what should we get into? There's so many good storylines. I mean, OG had a great game. Gary Trent Jr. played his ass off. There were a lot of weird no calls in that game, especially when OG and Julius Randle were involved. Some guys didn't have great games, unfortunately. But let's talk about some of the highlights. Oren, who did you like in this game? Who stood out?
Well, I'm just looking at the box score. I mean, first general game, just a. Do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Can we mute that? Okay. First, general thought was that this was the Raptors' first national TV game, so some Americans got to see us in action tonight, and thank God, because today one of the athletic podcasts made the rounds where they were basically just like saying how the Raptors fans were overhyping Delano Banton, and okay, he's a hometown kid, of course we're gonna hype him up, but I could just tell that they watched maybe one half of a Raptors game all season, because the way they were talking to him was just like, well, he moves the ball well, he'll make the right, no, he's a very, very good playmaker. He doesn't just move the ball. So anyways,
Put some respect on our name, right?
Yeah, it was just good to see that Americans got to see the Raptors for the first time tonight for a lot of them, and this was the performance. It was just a great performance. But in terms of individuals, I'm just looking at the box score, and Gary Trent played 43 minutes. That's insane.
Damn right he did.
Good for him, man. He's really earned Nurse's trust. Yeah, no, absolutely.
He was I think he was a plus 15, it says in the game, just under Kem Birch, who's another guy who I think had an amazing game. The box score probably doesn't show it. But he outperformed his center counterpart in Precious Achua quite a bit. But OG and Gary Trent, Aiden, my goodness, we saw a career night from OG Anunoby, 36 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. A bunch of isolations with Julius Randle on him, taking him to the rim, bullying RJ Barrett underneath the rim. And then Gary Trent Jr. hitting big shots throughout the entire game. Guys, at halftime, you guys are kind of making fun of me, or at least Aiden was in the chat we're in, because I went to Mary Brown's at halftime, right? I felt like I needed some food to
Newfoundland represent.
Yeah, so shout out to Mary Brown's. They have some.
They have some very good
Mary
food. Brown's?
No, I like Newfoundland.
Oh, I just saw the Mary Brown's poutine that Boucher is promoting on.
They should call it a bouche-tine.
Nice. Honestly, I like that. My thoughts on that is that you can do poutine with wedges. I've done that before, absolutely. But the cheese to gravy ratio was way off on that one. Just not enough gravy. It looked trash. But anyway.
Yeah, look.
Poutine's overrated.
No, poutine's underrated, dude. Poutine's my favorite. Literally my favorite food. I would eat poutine every day. If that was the choice.
Guys, comments. We need you to roast Aiden right now. He just said poutine's overrated.
Aiden, that's very American.
You're gonna make me get way off track now. Okay, so let me get back to my story. Halftime, I went to Mary Brown's. We were down 4. The Raptors were down 4. And I thought I was going to come back with 10 minutes to go in the third, but apparently I was a bit longer than that. I came back. It was about 4 or 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And the Raptors were up 12. And I was like, what the hell just happened? We were just down 4 at halftime. Yeah, it ended off on a good note, but the Raptors were up 12. Had to quickly ask the Twitter timeline what just went on. And I was told OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. are Toronto Raptors. So that gave me a good idea that OG and Gary carried their first half momentum into the second half. What did you like, Aiden, from both of those players, or at least what stood out to you?
Well, also on the national game front, I like that Barnes didn't play, because he's we can keep him as kind of our hidden gem. No one's going to appreciate how great he is. And the fact that essentially 3 guys carried the bulk of the offensive load. And I love that too. You kind of you worry that Van Vliet and OG can't carry a team offensively, and most nights they can't. But tonight they showed that they could, and that's like really encouraging to see moving down the road, especially against a defensive team like the Knicks. I liked OG's aggression. I liked his confidence. He had 27 shots, which is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
He stepped up defensively. Like Randall went nuts in the first quarter, and then he disappeared for the rest of the game. So the fact that what minutes did OG play? Some absurd amount, like high 30s.
41.
41. And he played
gracious.
like sick defense. Like that just is so encouraging. And I thought Van Vliet, obviously he hit some big shots, but he was a wiser point guard tonight. He wasn't like dilly-dallying around until 1 second left and jacking.
Oh, I don't even know if they mentioned this on the broadcast. Maybe I didn't hear it, but OG with a career high in points tonight.
Yeah,
is what
did
Google
mention
Yeah,
it.
man.
Oh, okay.
They did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right on. Yeah, I
36
mean,
points.
OG and Trent definitely carried the load. Like Van Vliet contributed a lot in the fourth quarter, as he's kind of like now it's kind of like becoming consistent Van Vliet time in that fourth quarter. But
Guys,
yeah,
he's resembling Kyle Lowry a lot more than I
He
thought.
is.
Like he
Yeah.
is really running the show
Yeah.
offensively.
But first on those two guys, right? Like OG, like you said, the aggression's great. That's what you want out of him. And
Yeah.
he like I watched the game with my father today in a nice wholesome moment, and
Beautiful.
he was like, what do the Raptors need to do? You know, they're down 15 like at the end of the second quarter. I'm like, the Raptors are playing fine. Like the Knicks aren't going to keep hitting these shots. Like if the Raptors just keep playing this way, I think like they'll get back into it. And that's what we saw in the third quarter was like the Knicks luck ran out a little bit.
Mhm.
And OG and Trent were just consistent throughout the whole four quarters. And, you know, Trent 4 steals on top of 4 made threes. So he had it going. OG and like my thing on Trent is like they have him in a really good role now where you know it's like OG and Fred are running like primary pick and roll, and then Trent is kind of in the Norm Powell role, like spotting up on the weak side. But if you
Yeah.
get the ball to Trent with like a defense shifting towards him,
Absolutely.
he is so good now.
Yeah.
Like either just taking the three or taking a sidestep three or taking a step forward to the elbow where he's a really good shooter. Like the next step is definitely like get to the rim more, get to the free throw line more. But
Mhm.
still, like he's so hard to stop if he already has the defense shifted and all he has to do is like score for himself.
And he's much better at slithering. You know, like he's starting to kind of like do what Van Vliet does, like get into the lane and kind of explore. He even had a couple of nice passes today, and that's not something he was doing at all last year.
That's true. I think it's a handle thing too.
Yeah.
And
my
OG had some
gosh.
nice passes today as well. OG,
Yeah, he's really, except for that cross court baseball pass out of bounds on the triple team.
yeah.
But to your point on the 3-pointers, New York had 8 in the first quarter and they had 16 in
Yeah.
the game. So, you know, and there were some bailout threes too.
Yeah. New York, I tweeted, they came in the game leading the league in 3-point percentage. Raptors were 5th worst in the league in 3-point percentage. And like it looked that way in the first half. And it looked like that could be like the end of the Raptors. But I've been really, really 3 reallys, I have to say, impressed with this young team's ability to play the full 48 minutes and stay composed over the course of a game and come back in several games now. It's like they're really playing like vets.
Yeah,
I think we need to. No, go ahead, Aiden. Go ahead.
No.
Oops. I was gonna say I think we need to give OG and Fred some credit, and I think Jack Armstrong did, where he mentioned their championship pedigree. Yeah, OG didn't, really play all that much in that championship season. If you guys remember the playoffs, that legendary playoffs we got, Fred did, but OG was there and he saw how the team was preparing. And I think having two guys that have quite literally been there, done that, and been as far as they've been in their career, only being in their 5th or 6th years in the league, it's impressive and it's really rubbing off on the young guys. I honestly had my doubts. I had my doubts about the Raptors finishing this game and closing off the Knicks on that little run they went on. But they stayed composed. I liked what I saw, and Gary Trent Jr., OG, and Fred showed why The rookies and the younger players need to really just, I think, really just believe in them and let them lead the floor, let them take the chances and just do what you have to do. I really liked what I saw, by the way, from Justin, and I might again butcher his name, Justin Champagny.
Nice.
Is he
I
French?
don't think there's a Frenchness to it.
No, I
Okay,
think it's Champagne.
It's like the
Champagne.
good old
Okay.
American pronunciation.
Yeah, he's a New
Okay.
York boy.
I just
actually.
assumed he was
This
French.
is his
New York.
hometown. Yeah.
Okay. Thought he had a little bit of French to him. I liked what he like brought to the game. He had 5 rebounds in 4 minutes at one point. He was absolutely attacking the glass, and I think he's like 6'4". Oren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere around there.
Let's see. I think he's a bit taller,
small
but
guy. Yeah, small
but
guy
not that
attacking
big.
the rim
I think he's 6'6".
like a big.
Yeah.
So I was impressed with what I saw from him.
Yeah, I was saying that he's the perfect 10th, 11th, 12th man to have in your rotation. He's not going to play every night, but when you need a spark, when you need rebounding troubles, or I guess that's probably his best skill right now, just hustle plays, he's a great guy to just throw in there and he'll be consistent in that
He was
role.
hitting his rotations too. Like he had a couple of weak side helps. And that's that's pretty simple stuff, but that's what you want from your rookie when you suddenly throw them into the middle of a game.
Guys, I have a question. I have a question. Can we talk about a guy who's been neglected for a good portion of the season, who came in and immediately changed the game? None other than Malachi Flynn. Guys, Malachi Flynn, for me, wow. For a guy that hasn't played all that much this season, the way he just changed the game. You saw that pull-up 3 immediately. First of all, I was shocked that he even took that. But that's confidence, man. Right? I believe that's Alec Burks right in his face. Did not care. Shot that. The Raptors bench was going wild for him. They want to see him succeed. And it's good to see a young guard doing well in that system where Nick Nurse has usually deployed Fred and Goran Dragic, who hasn't played the last few games. Delano Banton has taken a lot of the guard minutes as well. But Malachi Flynn came into a game where the Raptors needed a spark, and he did really well. Guys, is this a game where, Malachi can take it from here and just try and gobble up as many backup point guard minutes as he can? Do you guys think this is the game where he proved it?
I think over the course of the season, I think it was inevitable. Over the course of the season, when Banton is going to have struggles, especially when our starters aren't scoring, which is also going to be inevitable. And Flynn's a bucket. We all know that. He doesn't really fit the system, but when the system's not doing what it's supposed to do, we can throw him out there and hope that something's going to come of it. So yeah. I think as long as he works hard defensively, which he did, he played Kemba pretty well, and Nurse is happy with that. I think we're going to see incrementally more minutes coming from Flynn.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think nights where, like you said, the system maybe isn't working the way it's intended, like transition opportunities weren't really there tonight, other than off steals where they were getting some stuff. But otherwise, it was kind of a half-court game.
Yeah.
I don't have the stats in front of me. That's what I was just trying to look up, but I don't have the utilities for this, big man. But
I was so casual.
The Raptors definitely ran the most pick and rolls in this game than they have this season.
I wanted to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, I would bet money on that. And that's where Flynn obviously succeeds. Also, the Fred OG pick and roll was working really well. But if Nurse is willing to run a pick and roll heavy offense, then Flynn is going to thrive. But I just don't think Nurse is there yet. And people can have their quibbles with that. But I do think there is something to say for avoiding a lot of pick and rolls, just because it does become easier to scheme against the more you see it.
Yeah, I personally, from what I saw from Malachi Flynn, I'm not saying you give this guy 20 minutes a game now, but to just say he deserves to be just glued on the bench after tonight. Yeah, you look at the box score and he had I think it was just that 3 he hit, but I just feel like his pace pushing, which is something that all 3 of us have talked about, Delano's done so well with, just the ability to speed up the game. And I think with him, he came in with a mindset that, hey, I'm in here. I don't know how long I'm in here for. Nick might have me out here for 2 minutes and bench me for the rest of the night. So I'm going to really prove what I can. And I love that from Malachi Flynn. That's the mindset I think he needs to bring, because let's keep it a stack, guys. Nobody imagined the Raptors guard depth to be this good, even with Dragic out. Like, Delano Banton actually looks like a backup point guard that you can rely on. This is a second rounder,
Right.
46th overall,
Right.
who none of us expected to really play all that much this year. And Delano Banton looks pretty damn good. I mean,
No,
save for
that's
this game, I think he was a little but I think overall from what we've seen this season, it's good to see Malachi Flynn, hop in and make a difference.
Yeah, real quick on that. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wow, we have a lot of good guard depth on this roster. And at the beginning of the season, I was like, man, our guard depth is trash. We have so many forwards, but so few guards. And now it's like Dragic is just sitting on the bench, legit depressed. I don't know if you guys see him, but he does not look happy anymore. But yeah.
Yeah.
Banton also is -7, but he was 2 for 3 and he had 2 blocks and a couple of rebounds. Like he played. I didn't think he had a bad game. I was surprised he didn't get it back out there.
I was too. I didn't really see it, but
yeah. I mean, the -7, I don't really blame him too much for it because I just felt like the Raptors just as a whole were playing like shit when he was in. So I don't really blame him too much for that.
Boucher,
It's just
man.
Yeah, Chris Boucher.
oh yeah, we'll get there soon.
Okay.
We'll get there. Yeah,
I do think
positive vibes.
I do think Van Vliet played almost the entire second half because remember he got that long rest in the second when Malachi closed out the quarter.
Yeah.
So Van Vliet sat for like 2 minutes in the second half. So I think that's also why we didn't see Ben.
All right, guys. I have the question that most people are alluding to in the comments because we're getting a lot of Kem Birch talk in the comments. So I got a quick question for you guys. Who is the starter from this point forward at the 5? Because what we saw from Achua in this game and in past games, honestly, has been depressing. Is that a good word, guys? Kem Birch looked so solid in this game. He played a bunch of minutes, I think 31 minutes. Was his finishing around the rim looked really good. Precious was doing a lot of things that how do I say this without getting canceled?
Don't do it,
Precious
man.
was-
I'm a stan, so better not do it.
I'm a fan. That's the thing. I'm a fan of Precious, right?
Yeah.
I'm African, right? You guys probably know that by now. So I have to be, a Precious fan by default.
Good.
So I'm a fan of Precious Achua, but man, Kem Birch has to start every game until Precious proves something, because this is a few games in a row now where Precious does not, honestly, forget starting. He doesn't deserve as chunky of a role as Nick Nurse has been giving him this season. I don't like his play, his dribbling, like he's hot sauce or professor in Rucker Park and into a air ball jump shot. It just needs to stop. I don't know. I don't know if he's tense. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure, guys, but I do know one thing. Look what Josh Lewinberg just tweeted. Raptors with Kem Birch on the floor over the last 3 games, plus 41 in 83 minutes. Raptors with Precious Achua, minus 20.
That's
we saw that last year with Birch. Like, he was a super plus for the final part of that season. Yeah. So this was just about Birch getting back up to game fitness and getting that touch back. And sorry, go ahead, Oren.
No, go ahead.
And I was just gonna say that, like, part of this fitness is being able to do the little things. Like, when you're not in great shape, it's just about getting your ass down the court. And then when you get that second wind, it's boxing out, it's hustling for the second or third tip. And you're seeing that now that he's back into shape. Like, he's doing all the little things, and on top of that, he's playing great defense. And so yeah, like he's really earned his place back in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I want to say this about Precious. I got to stick up for my guy because I've spent a lot of time researching his story. Like, Precious Achua went to Memphis, and it was very unclear if he was going to be even a one and done. He worked his way up to the 20th pick in the draft, and this is his second season. So, like, the fact that people are talking about him this way is because, like, he's just being put in a role that's just too fast for him. Like, you don't have to push him into a starter role, right? And the reason they did was because Kem Birch was had COVID. And so, like, I'm sure Nick knows that Kem is on, like, overall a better player at this point in his career. And I mean, trying to put the pieces together, I can only like speculate that he's been starting Precious because he's been wanting to tie Birch to Boucher, which was something that we've talked about in the group chat tonight. Like, Boucher to play with Precious because they are both chaotic guys. And I think it made sense to stick Birch to Boucher, come off the bench. But like, yeah, he's got to know that he can't keep this up for very long if they keep playing this way. And I'm sure we'll see the switch over eventually. But I just think like before Raptors fans shit on Precious and say like we lost the Kyle Lowry trade, like patience is a virtue. Like we just need to be patient with this guy. The center is the hardest position to learn in the NBA. He'll come around, but he'll be like better off the bench for sure.
Is this a good time, Oren, to plug your Precious feature article? Because if you won't, I will. To be quite honest with you,
All right,
Oren, guys, I need you guys to check out Complex Canada. Oren's piece he wrote on Precious Achua.
Great story.
And man, oh man, it's a good one. It's a very good one. So, yeah, Oren's best friends with Precious now. So, I mean, Aiden, we gotta step up now, I guess.
That's also the interesting thing is Precious was raised in New York, so it also could have been like a nerves thing.
Thing is, I love Precious. I'm not, and again, he's a second-year player. He's gonna make mistakes. I think I'm not. I'm all in on Precious long term. There's no question. Like my friend texted me and said he's a worse Montrezl Harrell, and it's the opposite. He's like he has a way more diverse skill set that he's going to hone over the course of the season.
Your friend needs to know that Montrezl Harrell cannot switch onto anyone.
Exactly, flat feet. I told him it's just because they have the same hair. But the thing is that what I'm seeing is Precious is making the wrong kinds of mistakes. Like he's getting too focused in on getting his buckets, like attacking the hoop, and he's losing his perspective on what his role is. And I guess that's part of learning when you're a younger guy is just like when and where to choose your spots. But he's making the wrong mistakes, and then he's getting down on himself, and he's losing that high energy motor that he usually brings to the games, and that's where I'm frustrated.
I think Sahal had to mute himself. That was him. But he'll be right back.
Running in over his ceiling or something.
Yeah, something was going on with the sound there. Precious. Yeah, I feel like we've beaten the Precious Ken thing to death, right? Like the last 3 episodes have been same thing.
Yeah.
Chris Boucher. I know Sahal also wants. Yeah, Sahal really has shots to fire about Chris. So maybe Svi. Go on Svi.
Let's go Svi.
Yeah, go for it.
I got a good banner for Svi too.
Nice.
Man, Svi's starting to remind me of just Gary Trent Jr. Like they kind of are starting to do similar things where he's playing pretty aggressive defense as best he can. He's shooting gaps. He's like pushing ball handlers out above the perimeter. And then he's choosing his shots wisely. He's hitting the open threes. He's cutting on some great passes. He's cutting on some great weak side help. And he's really earned his minutes, and he's created the offensive punch that we desperately need from a third or fourth guy. So how every time I talk, you play your weird ass sewer pipe sound.
Go to the cam mic thing and then audio, and then maybe echo cancellation might help. I don't know. If not, just do earphones or no mic, maybe. Oh, he laughed at me. He just laughed. All right, we'll do last of the players before we, I guess, transition to some film stuff and bigger picture stuff.
Okay.
Is Chris Boucher, who I know the fans want us to bash pretty good. I'm surprised. I was so wrong on this one take I had where listen to Locked On Raptors podcast with Sean Woodley. He's a great host and great podcast. And actually, Sahal was on this podcast with Vivek Jacob, and they did over-unders, and they were saying who's going to play the 4th most minutes on the team. I think it was after, the big 3 and Barnes, maybe. I'm not even sure if Barnes was. And I was like, nobody mentioned Chris Boucher. And I was like, I feel like Chris, he's a veteran. He knows the system now. He's been around. He's going to play a lot of minutes for this team. And he has just been really slow out of the given how long he's been in the Raptors system, how well he knows Nurse and the other players. And I mean, Yeah, it's just kind of the same mistakes we're used to seeing from him, right?
Yeah, he's kind of making the same mistakes. I think that Precious is making, where like he's trying to he's trying to force himself back into a rhythm. The previous games he's been jacking and he's toned that down. Obviously, Nurse has talked to him about just like playing in rhythm and playing within the system, and he's doing that. He's taking threes more into the flow of the offense. But the same thing, he seems so dependent on his personal success that he doesn't have the energy or the defensive grit that he showed last year, by virtue of him just not performing as well as he expects himself to. And it's really disappointing because, like you said, he's a veteran of this team. He's someone we expected to give us solid minutes, whether it's a starter role or a bench role. And he's been almost unplayable, especially alongside Precious or Kem. Like, it just is so clogged with the two of them. I agree he will settle, and I think a dislocated finger really kind of fucks up your rhythm. But to me, it's the mentality piece of it that frustrates me.
Yeah, no, the finger is not an excuse because like you just said, it's not the fact that he's missing shots that we're upset, right? It's that he's making the same sort of mistakes that he's been making. And that's a good point with the Achua comparison. And Nick has talked about this a few times in press conferences now where he's like, you don't need to like shoot yourself back into a game.
Right.
You don't need to score yourself into a game. Just play well, play a good defense, play hard, like Gary Trent has done on games where he's not shooting
Perfect
well.
example.
Like, yeah, you just see him making plays every game. He's a beacon of consistency on the defensive end. It's like, what has happened to this man? But yeah, Chris Boucher has just the effort level is not there the same way as some of those other guys. And yeah, he's trying to shoot himself back into these games. And also, it concerns me that almost all, because it showed a graphic of his last two games on TSN trying to hype him up, like, oh, he's getting alive. And it was like field goal percentage and field goal percentage from three were the same. And I was like, oh, this guy hasn't taken a two in the last two games. And like, that's concerning if all he's doing is taking spot up threes or like hoist him up threes. And he's not, because he has that drive and go game, like attacking closeouts. And I just haven't seen it much from him this season. So it is a little bit weird. I mean, technically it could have to do with the finger. Maybe he's uncomfortable dribbling. I don't know, but like, I don't want to speculate, but yeah, he hasn't looked good. But Sahal, we got to let you fire off some shots on Chris Boucher.
First of all, how does my sound
Great.
sound?
Great.
Okay.
You're back, baby.
I'm blaming that one on Ed Rogers. So we're gonna keep going from here. So where are we? Chris Boucher. I was following along. So Chris Boucher. Yeah, I see a lot of people first of all defending him in the comments, which makes a lot of sense, right? He's coming off of surgery, slow start to the season. We're not, what are we, 8 games in, guys? The Raptors are 5-3. 70 plus games left. I get it. People are like, give Chris Boucher a break. I get it. Chris Boucher hasn't played well. We're mentioning that because, and we're not focusing solely on that. I mean, we just spent 25 minutes prior to this, mentioning how good Gary Trent Jr. has looked, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. But I think it'd be weird if we didn't mention who's struggling a bit. And yes, there could be reasons for that struggle. Chris Boucher for sure has a little bit of, I guess you could say, more leeway. Like I said, he's coming off surgery. He's coming off injury. He's still trying to get into the rhythm of things. He looked really, really, really good last year, especially in the beginning of the season. So I get it. However, Chris Boucher, whether he would come into the season and light it up or is as playing as bad as he is now, he's still looked at as one of the, I want to say, trade chips that the Raptors have. Again, that doesn't matter about his performance. He would, if he was averaging 15 points per game and he looked like the 6th man of the year, he's still on an expiring contract. But it's a little bit alarming to me that he's not just playing bad. He looks like the worst Raptor on the court every time he's on it. That's a little bit alarming to me. And that might sound harsh, right?
No.
But that's just the truth for me. I mean,
yeah, I don't think you're really wrong. At least not tonight. Or Achua. Yeah, sorry. Tonight was Achua.
Achua has no excuse, to be quite honest with you, but he did has had points this year where he's looked really good.
Yeah.
So I don't want to like everything on him.
Excuse is he's 21.
Yeah, and he's also a second-year player. Chris Boucher might as well be a second-year player. He started playing basketball like a year ago. So, like, I mean, it is what it is. But I understand both sides of the Chris Boucher thing. You don't want to focus too much on the negative. But at the same time, when he has, bad games and he stands out, especially in a game where the Raptors win, I mean, we're going to mention it. It just is what it is. If you're a Chris Boucher fan, I get it. I totally understand. I'm a big Gary Trent Jr. guy, and he doesn't have the best of games. Sometimes there's games where he shoots 4 for 21, and I have to put him on blast, and I get put on blast in the comments for putting him on blast. So it happens, and I'm sorry to the Chris Boucher lovers. I'm sorry to the, all the people that have our shareholders and have stock in Mary Brown's. I'm sorry to you guys too. But Chris Boucher, man.
We're just disappointed.
Yeah. I just need to see more. If you want to be a consistent part of the rotation, and this is supposed to be, relative to the rest of the NBA, this rotation isn't filled with stars. Like there's a bunch of young guys playing. I mean, Delano Banton is getting consistent minutes. He was the first guy off the bench for the Raptors, as well as Kem Birch. So, you know what I mean, guys? I gotta hold him accountable, man. I gotta hold him accountable. You're right. I have to. We don't have.
Well, Nurse is. He only played 9 minutes.
Right. Yeah. No.
Nick Nurse has publicly called him out, guys. Am I wrong?
No. Yeah. I think, like I said before the season started, that I think Boucher is going to be traded at the deadline, and it was not even because I expected him to have a bad season. It's just because like this team has a lot of fours. Barnes, Siakam are both fours. OG can play a lot of 4. And then even Precious can play some 4 maybe. So I don't think the Raptors want to pay him when they have that many 4s, but he's not exactly making it easy on them to get a lot of value. But I think that's enough beating Boucher.
Okay. No more Boucher.
This was a little bit of an interesting comment that we haven't gotten this comment yet this season, guys. Or at least when I was here. Sam Decker.
Oh, I got thoughts.
I feel like everybody's played this season, if I'm not wrong, except him, right? Is there any? Let me quickly look at the Raptors roster. So obviously the starters.
Everybody's played. Bonga's played a little bit.
No,
Bonga's played a little bit this season.
Oh yeah, he played like one shift of non-garbage time.
Sam Decker.
No, I think whatever. It's not much.
Yeah, it's not much.
Decker's not playing because why isn't he good?
Playing? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Moving on.
Okay. He's got a great shot, but he's slow. He can't really dribble. I don't think he can hold up on defense unless you're putting him on a 4, in which case he's too thin. Like he's there, and he's what's his name? Matt from last year. What's his name? The shooter.
Matt Thomas.
Matt Thomas. He's just like a taller Matt Thomas. Like he's not really playable, and he's slower. So
yeah,
I mean, he's the 15th man. He barely won the spot. Those guys are only supposed to play if there's injuries or something has gone really wrong with your season. So it's actually a good sign that he's not playing. And anyone criticizing Nick Nurse today, because I saw it on the timeline, like, come on. Nurse just coached a hell of a game. He really did. Like, whether it was the out of timeout plays or just the rotation, getting Flynn some pick and rolls, going to OG Fred pick and roll, like riding Birch as hard as he did. Like he coached a really good game. So I don't really want to hear the like rotation snubs right now.
That's a hot take.
Decker.
Yeah, and I'm not agreeing with that. But
I mean, maybe who knows?
I like the vibes he brings.
Of any of these guys. Like realistically, we've seen 2 minutes of any of these guys.
No, but I've seen Bonga on the Wizards. Like he played quite a bit last year. So, and fair. Yes, I'm judging. I'm just gonna call. What do I call him? Champagne Poppy. Like I don't know what to call him.
Dude. It's Champagne.
Just call him Poppy.
Champagne. Okay, I'm trusting Oren. This guy said call him Poppy. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Quick plug for our friend Alex Wong. I just picked up his book today.
Oh, you got it.
I got the last copy at the varsity one at Bay and Bluer chapters.
Good for him.
What the hell is Amazon
everyone
doing?
should pick this up if you like basketball. I just started it. It's really good. It's about
or you like slam mags, right? Man, I used to collect those back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the history of the NBA told through magazine covers, Slam, and also Sports Illustrated and some others. But it's cool.
Yeah, Amazon's just they're really effing with me, man.
Don't
We
do
will
Amazon,
email
dude.
you when we
Chapters
have an estimated delivery date.
Indigo delivers for free. Chapters Indigo, and also they're way less toxic than
Support local
Amazon.
bookstores, man.
Yeah, or that if
You're
you
right. I should.
Super
To be
local.
honest, I ordered this a month ago from Amazon, and I was assuming that it would come the day it got released. So shout out to our friend Alex Wong, man. That's huge. Have you read it at all, Oren? Yeah, have you went through it?
I just got it today. I'm
Oh,
reading
okay.
like the first chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Stephen LeBron, man. If you haven't already, follow Stephen LeBron on Twitter. Alex is quite literally one of the funniest Raptors Twitter has to offer. He is the king of memes, just underneath me, might I add. But yeah.
My favorite tweet was when he taught me that Jack Armstrong's younger than Leo Routens. That just absolutely blew my mind.
Crazy.
Oh yeah, Jack
Yeah.
is way younger than you think.
I know. A lot of MGDs and Irish whiskeys, no question.
Yeah, it's all those tailgates at the Bills games. Speaking of Alex, I have a clip to show.
All right, let's bring it down. Let's see what you got. Yeah, that was crazy. I couldn't believe that when someone told me Leo Routens is older than Jack. I honestly couldn't believe it. What does that say? Me if the Raptors win at Madison Square Garden tonight without their 20-year-old superstar. Can we play it with the audio, or will we get like destroyed by YouTube? Yeah, Side Talk NYC is really just doing their thing with these post Nick game interviews.
So good.
Shout out to Bing Bong, man. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Real quick before we move on from the game or to other stuff, I just want to say RJ Barrett, Team Canada's own RJ Barrett, the future captain of Team Canada. Unbelievable game. Good for him. The Knicks need to get him involved more because I get it. They got Kemba and Fournier now. And so the ball is really not in Barrett's hands until he like dictated it because he was the only one who scored. But they really need to figure out ways to get him involved like throughout the game because he's one of their best scorers. He's a beast today. Yeah.
I love RJ. Always will be a fan. Just looks better every time the Raptors play him, and that's really the only time, unless you're a Knicks fan, the only time you get to watch him as a Raptors fan. Yeah, so RJ's the man. RJ is the man. He's shooting like almost 50, well, at least coming into this game, he's shooting like 48-point-something% from the field.
Trust me, I got him in fantasy. Trust me.
He is the guy.
Speaking of first quarter, sorry, I just want to New York performances. Randall was 5 for 6 in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And finished 7 for 14. So he went 2 for 8 after that. Like that's incredible. He's their best player. Like he's an all-star, and OG just locked him the fuck down. Like I love that so much. I love that we can do that to their best player.
It was almost to the point where I think Randall just like mentally checked out. I think there was a play where they ran it like a high screen roll at the elbow for him, and it was exactly what the Knicks, wanted. Fred VanVleet switched on to Julius Randle. And Julius was calling for the ball, and I don't know who looked him off. I think it was Emmanuel Quickly. I'm like 90% sure. And Julius Randle's like, "Hello, like I got this 5'5" guy on me. Like, can I get the ball now?" And he didn't, unfortunately. And Julius Randle's one of those guys where like in that specific play when he didn't get the ball, he just sulked. He looked down at his shoes and he just stood at that same elbow for he was in the high post and he just backed up towards the 3-point line and just stood at the 3-point line, didn't move an inch, and was just watching the rest of his team play 4-on-5 basketball. Because he's like, you know what? If I can't get the ball and I have Fred VanVleet on me, then I'm just out. Like you guys can do this
fair enough,
yourself.
Honestly, fair.
So he should have got the ball more. 7 for 14.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about who our player of the night was?
Our taxman. Do the taxman thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. Oh, Lauren's putting it on me now. I thought you did it last time.
Okay. I could do it.
So we're doing. Okay, so our Ken M taxman of the night is none other than, tell me if I'm wrong, Oren and Aiden, OG Anunoby with a career night, 36 points. Can M CPA is a full-service small business accounting and tax firm with an experienced and friendly staff that can help you navigate a triangle offense better than Phil Jackson. Can M also provides personal tax preparation and can recover the refunds that you are entitled to. So don't leave that money on the table. If you have questions about your personal taxes, Can-Am would be happy to help the Raptors community. Check them out at Google. Check them out on their Google reviews and visit their website, Can-Am, at www.canamtax.com. That's www.canamtax.com. How's that going? Is that good?
Beautiful.
Yo,
Thank you to Can-Am Tax for sponsoring the show. We love you.
Real quick, we got a Sam Decker comment.
I saw that. Zoom in, maybe.
That's good.
Zoom in.
Can I zoom in? How do I zoom in?
Just on your 2 fingers.
Always tough to beat us when OG, Gary, and I combine for 72 points. That's tough. See, I like that. I like how he's just taking his role, and he's not, he knows, like,
you got to average comedy when you're the 15th man on the.
He's just happy to be on the team. Yeah,
totally. He is.
I mean, that's what it is, and he should be. Like, this isn't us, like, getting at him or anything. I mean, he's the 15th man. There's only so many NBA teams in the league. This is the best league in the world for basketball. So, and Sam Decker made it, guys. So shout out to him. So the Can-Am Taxman, guys, OG Anunoby, even though I wanted it to be Gary Trent Jr., but it is what it is because I love OG. Let's move on, guys. So I wanted to get into a few plays.
Yep. Film breakdown.
Film.
It is film breakdown time. I wanted to get into a couple early plays in the game that highlighted 2 plays from none other than Precious Achiuwa. So for me, Precious Achiuwa, guys, we mentioned how, he struggled a little bit in this game. But I think, with these 2 plays I'm about to show you specifically, he learned from his mistakes really quickly. So here you see Gary Trent Jr. gives it to him in the corner, and he does that thing that I hate. He does that thing that, that little dribble, like we're at the Rucker Park, and then mid-range. And I've seen that so many times, not just the air ball. I mean, we saw it like 3 times this game alone, but that's not Precious's game. The Raptors don't need him to do that. You can't have that for Precious. But the next play is where Precious literally learns from his mistake. I think about a minute and a half later in the same quarter, where you're going to see, so it's a high pick and roll. Fred calls Precious over. Kemba's obviously, goes over for Fred. Precious gets it, and immediately, instead of stopping and doing that little thing where he's like, you know what, this is my team, my rules type thing, he made the easy read, which is just the corner pocket read. Julius Randle, for some reason, helped super hard on that. I don't really understand why, because Mitchell Robinson's a pretty good rim protector, and Julius Randle sunk in really deep. You can see he's already sacking off OG in the corner. He sinks to help out Precious. What he should have done is maybe stepped in 1 step and then ran back to OG, and then just very simple passing read for Precious Achiuwa. And that's what the Raptors need him to do. Oren mentioned it at the beginning of this episode. Precious just needs to play within the offense, make the easy reads, stop doing all the difficult stuff. You're a pick and roll guy. You roll to the rim pretty good. You're athletic. You're mobile. The Raptors don't need you to shoot mid-range jump shots. The Raptors don't need you to shoot, a bunch of threes or dribble like you're, Jason Williams on the Kings circa 2003. Real people. You know what I'm talking about, guys? Number 55. I know you know Jason Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Just throwing that in there for my fans out there that were born, pre 1994 or 1995, I should say, because Orange in 1995, maybe, I think. But yeah, that's what we need to see from Precious. We need to see the easy reads, and this is exactly what he does here. Finds OG, who to me is one of the best standstill shooters in the league, in one of his favorite spots in the league in the corner. So that is what I wanted to highlight. Precious, just make the game easy for yourself. Make it easy. Make the reads. That's it. The Raptors will flow. Do what Ken Burch does.
That's a good one. And Precious, honestly, like, this is a good pass for him. It's like that's the worst part of his game right now, or the least developed, is his playmaking. And today he had 2 passes that were kind of similar on the short roll, and that's some development that you like to see.
Yeah, like, I mean, watching that in real time, like we're watching now, it seems like one of the more simple basketball reads you can make. But again, when Julius Randle cuts off your right side where you're trying to throw that ball and you still find a passing lane towards OG Anunoby, it's impressive. You got to give him credit. And this is what Ken Burch does for the Raptors. He makes all the easy reads, and a lot of times it just turns into good offense.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, it is an easy read in terms of, like, everyone collapsing the paint, sprayed out to the shooter, but it's not easy to deliver a bounce pass right into the pocket, which is what he does here.
Yeah.
So the execution was really good too.
Yeah. So
Good
that's what I
choice,
wanted to
Aho.
show.
Great
Yeah,
choice.
I just wanted.
good one.
I just need Precious to keep it simple, guys. That's all I need.
Boost his confidence a little bit.
That's it. That's it.
All right, what's
Love you,
next?
Precious.
What do we got
Love
up
you, man.
next, Don?
I have two, I think.
Tee it up and just Aiden will go from there.
Throw it at me.
Ooh, what's that?
Oh,
I just
Lord.
love this pass.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that
crazy.
pass.
How did he get that pass off?
I don't know. I just remember seeing him. Like, what? And so I have two plays here. They're both screen and rolls with Birch and Van Vliet, and it's just kind of I
Nice.
wanted to show them because it's what Oren mentioned that we don't do a lot of pick and roll stuff, and in this game it seemed like we did a lot more, and we can do it with so many different players. That's kind of what I love. Like you can invert it with OG and Van Vliet. You can do it with Barnes when he comes back. Precious,
Yeah.
Birch. Like there's so many options out of the pick and roll, and I think I kind of feel like that we're going to be needed. We can and should be doing more of it because these last couple of games we've had long stretches of time where we're so flat offensively. And early in this game, it was the same thing again. We were so flat, just kind of like throwing up desperate shots at the end of shot clock. So nothing too complicated with these two sets other than Burge's heroic pass and the fact that we're just running some pick and rolls.
Yeah, I love this. And Birch is so seasoned at pick and rolls that I feel like he just knows where he's supposed to be in that particular play. It was really weird because on this side of the court, guys, I saw a lot of guys slipping and falling in the third and fourth quarter specifically. So I don't know if that was like
James
Knicks
Dolan
just
spitting.
didn't-
There's a Rangers game or something.
Yeah, I don't know what was. Everyone was slipping and falling. There was a play in this game. I don't know if you guys watched, every single play in this game, but Chris Boucher was like slipping and sliding defensively on the court at one point. He just like, and that was on the other side of the court. So I don't know. Maybe it is the New York Rangers. Maybe we can blame, the NHL for this.
It's kind of fitting too that Birch is. This is contrasted with Precious doing the pick and roll because like Birch is not as skilled as Precious, but he's more thoughtful with what he's doing. Yeah. And he kind of knows his role. It's like he's humble. He's just there to kind of maximize whatever's the best option available. And there, when he fell over, he wasn't going to go up with it. He was going to kick it out anyway. So, Birch just had a great game. And he deserves the highlight.
Yeah. No, and Birch has like a really nice push shot too, and I actually wish he used it more because he's really so not aggressive that it's almost like he's such a team player that can be to a fault.
Definitely.
But on the pick and roll point, like that when Nick Nurse talks about versatility 8 times a day, I think like this is one of the big things he means is that like you said, you can run pick and roll with so many different players on this team, and that's like the value of Scotty Barnes too. Is like maybe one day. I mean, if his development goes right, one day he'll be able to be the ball handler or the screener in the pick and roll, right?
Yeah.
And you watch the Raptors championship run, and like Nick, he got very creative with like Pascal running pick and roll with Fred screening, and Kyle running it with Kawhi screening. Like there were so many combinations that it was so hard to scheme against.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he likes it more in the playoffs than the regular season. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a part of their offense.
The one thing we lack is we don't really have a pick and pop guy, and I think that we can run that with
OG.
Well, I was going to say we can run that with Siakam or OG as the screener.
Yeah, and they did with OG a couple times today.
Yeah.
And his screens have gotten better too. OG's screens are so wide.
He seals guys.
Yeah,
he's a
making
steak.
Huge contact. Like he never used to make that much of a contact before he rolled.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just getting fucking good, man. OG is fucked. He's fucked.
Like, he's actually
if he could play this well while Siakam comes back and is himself, it's like chalk up 50 wins, throw it on a fucking banner.
Tonight, my most improved player of the year bet just got a whole lot better.
Oh, same. Yeah, I bet that too.
Yeah, so did I. I picked John Morant, who I actually truly believe if he keeps
I bet
this
OG.
shit up,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Ja is
okay.
a great one though. Ja's probably
Yeah.
leading right now.
Yeah, but you don't
Yeah.
get plus 8,500 odds with Ja.
True,
I know
and
that
you're
is
not a
true.
homer if you don't bet OG.
Yeah.
But his odds, guys, his odds weren't that great going into the season.
True.
And I was thinking to myself, like, JV's gone, right? You have Steven Adams, who doesn't like throwing up the ball at all.
This is smart.
So you know what? And I feel like Grizzlies, the only way they can leave that 8th to 9th seed, like that little pocket that they just seem like they're stuck in and can't move from, they need Ja to become an all-star point guard. And this year
Yeah.
he looks like an all-star point guard.
I
So
feel like
shout
his
out
leap isn't as big as someone like OG though. Like he was
Yeah.
showing glimpses of last year. OG was not at all.
Yeah, that is true. He had the flashes. OG was
OG
like,
had flashes too.
Yeah, but not
when
like
they
Ja
tanked,
did.
when they went into tank mode.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, beyond though Raptors fans, did anyone truly believe OG was going to have an all-star type season? I'm not saying he's having. I mean, at this point, I think he should be in the conversation, but I don't know if that's going to last. But I think Raptors fans, I think, rate OG more than anyone naturally because they watch him more than anyone.
Yeah, just like every other Raptor versus the main
Oh.
NBA media.
Thank you for getting that one up, Don. If we can go back to that pick and roll, that lob to OG, that was insane.
That was out of the timeout too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
There's a horns play. Evan breaks this down. It's really nice.
Holy shoot! That happened when I was gone.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we shouldn't play his whole thing though, because we can't just use his audio without asking, you know.
Totally.
Oh, so
but what he does,
yeah, but then it'll just be this. It'll just be this clip.
I will say he points out the big fuck up here is Fournier doesn't bump down. He stays high, and that has a lot to do with Gary just being on fire. So again, like if Svi and Gary are canning threes, like they have been, the court just opens up massively, and you can get stuff like this going.
Yeah. I love the little action they're running for Svi on the outside there too.
Yeah, little flex screen.
Yeah, I found it funny how like on the timeline people were like already out on OG after like 4 games, and it was just like coming into tonight. Barnes is out. It's like you could feel it, you know, like he's OG has all the tools, but he doesn't have the mindset yet of a number 1 option. And like that's part of the reason Scotty has been getting so much like offense and so scoring so much is like a lot of the like every night the best perimeter defender is on OG. And he's getting a lot of attention. Fred's getting a lot of attention. So Scotty has a lot of one-on-one against guys who are smaller than him. And like not taking anything away from Scotty, but I'm just saying like OG has been what's the word where you're like giving it away, like he
charitable?
Yeah, whatever. He's been like very, very nice when Scotty's in the game, but on a night like tonight,
deferential.
Yeah, you can expect.
There we go, Aiden.
You can expect him to like up the aggression, and he has the skill to put up 36 points.
Yeah.
I love OG. I love how in this game specifically we saw everything. Like it's not like OG's stuck to the same 2 or 3 moves. Like he was hurting the Knicks in the paint. We saw on one play, the one where, you know, I was like, that little step back 3 he keeps doing, it keeps hitting. Like that is just, I never would have thought in a million years when we drafted OG Anunoby he'd be doing that for the Raptors. Never.
Me either.
Like
I'll take the L on that one too. It started in the preseason though, and that was a big indicator. Yeah.
Let's get to, do we have any clips of Gary Trent Jr.? We have you know, our producer here with us, by the way, behind the scenes, Don Yang. So everybody in the comments, I need at least a few of you to just say thank you, Don.
Yeah, big ups, Don.
For all the clips he's showing us.
Collecting all that goddamn footage is a nightmare. So thank you, Don.
Does anyone have? We could take questions in the comments.
Yeah, we will. We just got a donation from Top Shot Tesla. That's not his first time either.
Thanks,
Top. Bing bong, baby.
Yeah, he says Bing Bong 35 wins easy.
I got that over too.
Season.
By the way,
OG for MIP.
By the way, if anyone missed our last show, YouTube took it down for like 24, 48 hours, but it's back up. Whoever we beat last game, that's back on YouTube. Just in case anyone was wondering. Yeah, they wanted to fight, but we were like, nah, you just have to hold this out. And they did. They held
it.
Yeah, you don't know who he has backing him.
Absolutely. Look, we're getting the thank you, Don messages. There we go.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah. Respect, Don. Appreciate you. Gary Trent Jr. My goodness, if OG Anunoby wasn't the Can-Am Taxman of the night, I don't want to rehash this too much, but guys, in the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, Gary is just hitting all the shots that Nick Nurse needs him to hit. And Gary brings this guys, this defensive tenacity on the perimeter he's bringing is like unbelievable because when the Raptors first traded for him, I was kind of worried because that same tenacity would get him in trouble. He plays super close on the perimeter, and then he get blown past. And the Raptors last year, it wasn't 27 or 2019 where guys are running into Marc Gasol. Guys are running into Aaron Baines, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing for the Raptors. If you're getting past your man and you have Aaron Baines in the paint waiting for you, like that's a pretty good thing for the offensive player. That's no slander at all. That's just the truth. But in this season, guys, man, oh man, like Gary Trent Jr., his recovery ability is incredible. How many deflections has he had? How many times has he poked the ball out of, the guard's hands or the big man's hands, and it just continuously, results in a turnover for the Raptors, or a turnover forced, I should say, for the Raptors. Same as Fred, but I mean, we know that by now. Fred's one of the best deflectors in the game, one of the better on ball, point of attack defenders, especially for his size in the game. But Gary Trent Jr., guys, he looks worth that contract. And I was honestly kind of worried because 18 a year, it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit, especially if you're asking a guy to come off the bench when everybody's healthy. If that happens, it's quite a bit. But from everything I've seen this season from this guy, Gary Trent Jr. looks like a building block. He looks good.
If anything, it's too bad that we don't have him for longer term, because he can opt out after next season if he wants. So, yeah,
he's super aggressive in a really thoughtful way. His hands are so active. Like the deflections is incredible. And he's doing it with primary ball handlers. It's not like he's like getting in on, pick and rolls with bigs or something. Like he's flummoxing the guards that he's checking. And I had no idea this was going to happen. None.
No, me either. No, it's interesting what a different system can do for you because he's active, but he also just clearly has really great hand-eye coordination, and he's just amazing at getting his hand on the ball. And in Portland, they just didn't put pressure on the ball, so you would have never really known this unless Masai just has dreams. Masai just has a third eye, and he's
he does,
and something like that. But it is interesting when stuff like that happens.
Yeah,
absolutely. We need you guys to comment, and subscribe. Man, this is great. This is a big win for Toronto against a very, very well coached New York Knicks team. A team that, now the NBA is starting to realize this isn't a fluke. What the Knicks did last year wasn't a fluke. This is a team with a very good blend of youth, veteran savvy. They have a all NBA, player who's blossomed beautifully in the NBA, and Julius Randle. Derrick Rose is still one of the better bench guards in the league. RJ Barrett, also blossoming star, I want to say. And then you have a very
Gibson,
good, you have a very good depth pieces. Yeah, absolutely. And Thibodeau, by now he's bringing Taj Gibson everywhere. That's his son by now. He's bringing Taj Gibson absolutely everywhere. I think that's everything, guys. Goodness gracious, I didn't even realize it's been an hour.
Yeah,
we've been going on for an hour. This was fun. That's how you know it was fun.
Yeah,
that's the thrill of a W, man.
I need, before you guys leave us tonight, myself, Oren, and Aiden, we need you to like, comment, and subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. Turn on the post notifications if you haven't already. Oren, Aiden, before we leave, do you guys have anything to plug or anything that you guys are working on, doing soon? If you don't, I understand, because I don't really have.
I actually
asking. Sorry,
Aiden, do you?
No, you do. I know.
I'm gonna plug something. I just have to
do it.
I just have to pull it up.
I was like, why is he being so quiet? Come on, Oren, say something.
Well, you have to have the dramatic.
No, it's funny
pause.
But I just saw this comment from how much our early struggles is Gleason's offense. So he's talking about like the flex offense versus pick and roll. So I don't know. I'll post a link in the comment. I did write about the Raptors offense today, so
There
that
we
happens to work out
go.
well. And yeah, like I didn't write about pick and roll at all. All I said was that they entered tonight running pick and roll least in the entire NBA. But yeah, they have been running some flex offense, and they're just getting their offense in different ways this season. And like, I actually don't think it's the reason they're struggling. I actually think like the fact that they even have like a defensive or an offensive floor that's decent without Siakam and with like shooting the ball as badly as they have is actually a pretty good
Horrible.
sign. And like you can definitely have faults with that because they do have like a bottom 5 half court offense, I think, in terms of efficiency, but they're getting way more possessions. So that's part of the reason that it's not really like a bottom 5 half court offense in the same sense. And they're doing some interesting stuff, a lot more cutting this season, a lot more dribble handoffs. And I think I'm happy with the way that they've restructured it.
They're doing things that accentuate, the strengths of the players on this team. A lot of long, fast guys who are very good at cutting.
Right.
So we love to see it. This was the wrap up. Your Raptors Republic post-game live show where your Toronto Raptors defeated the New York Knicks 113-104, bringing their record to 5-3 on the season. That was it for myself, Sahal Abdi, again here with Oren Weisfeld, Aiden Moss. We'll see you guys all Wednesday night at home. We're back, guys. We're back at home versus we're not back at home. That hurts.
3-game road trip.
It's an away game versus the Washington Wizards. Because I was like, there's no way we're playing home Washington again. That doesn't make any sense.
Vengeance game.
Anyways, yeah, it is a vengeance game. Stay safe. Take care. And tell all your loved ones we said bing bong.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
We're taking it all the way.
And
Tell Tom Brady, taking his bread.
Okay, we're going to go on that one.